Hello and welcome, my name is Ajaxpost and this is Transport Fever, and this is my very first train on my very first railway line, going from all the way over there, all the way over somewhere, Newbury, to all the way back there in Coventry. Now before we carry on with the game, just a quick check at some of the stats that are available to us here in Transport Fever. We've got an information tab here which shows us our lines, and this is our train number one, Newbury to Coventry, and it's carrying one whole passenger, our very first passenger, and has so far lost only $55,000. Another very useful one. Again, I don't know how many of these were actually in Train Fever, and to be honest, I don't care anymore because we're playing Transport Fever. This tells you the stations you've got that you've built in the game. As we can see in Coventry, which is where we've come from, way back over there now, there are 5 passengers waiting, but none yet in Newbury. Hopefully some will turn up before the train arrives. Now the other thing there is, let's get rid of that, is the money, the finances. We started with a loan of 2 million, we're now down to around 500k, so we've basically just been spending money. Until this guy departs at Newbury, we'll make no money whatsoever. Some interesting other things here on this chart, on this this report. There's some charts so you can get an idea of how the environment is doing in terms of how you're servicing the population, in terms of jobs, facilities for shopping, and the population as a whole. As you can see, it started climbing quite dramatically once we sort of started a business, started running our rail lines, tracks. We've got what does 40,000 there mean? I'm not sure. Is that money? I don't know. Is that how much it costs? I don't actually know. I might have to look that up. But anyway, we have one track, and that's it. The other fun thing you can do in Transport Fever is you can put a logo on your trains, in fact all your vehicles. I've had a go at this. I'm not very good at this yet. I'm not really a graphic artist. So, for example, I created this little one here. So if I do that and apply that, then you should see, there it is. It depends on the nature of the vehicle, how much or what part of the logo it uses. On this vehicle there's not many spaces to put a logo, but it goes there. I'm not very happy with it, to be honest, so I'm not going to use it, and I'll see if I can learn, wrong tab, how to do that properly at some point in the future. But anyway, for the moment we don't need a logo. However, what we do need to do, let's stop the train for a moment, so we don't carry on losing money for no good reason, is we have our stations here, like Newbury, at which there's nobody waiting. And that, I think, is largely because we have no transport infrastructure within the towns themselves. So to get people to go to the station, we need to enable them to do so by buses, basically, or in this case at 1851, stagecoaches. Now in this game we can see the catchment area of our station, which is actually quite large. If we turn on the land use, you need to keep that there. You can see it is quite a lot of green. It's not all the green, which is the residential. The blue is the commercial, and the yellow is the industrial. So I think what would be handy is if we gave people a way of getting from the station to the shops, or from the shops to the station, just moving around the town. So that's what we're going to do in today's game, is both Newbury and Coventry attempt to build a infrastructure within the towns which should boost profitability of the railway line, and we're going to need to do that fairly soon because we are losing money hand over fist. Right, now we need loops here really so that people can travel easily around the town, and I think this is just the last bit of the loop we need to wrap up here. If I take that, I mean our coaches, I think, can't travel anywhere near 25 miles an hour yet. Everything is quite slow. We don't want to remove buildings because that gets 104k. No, thank you. That's. I don't like the curve on that. Ooh, no, 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 no. Why does it want to? Oh, it wants to delete that building, doesn't it? Unless I have a little kink in the road. 79k. I don't want to delete that building. There. 2k. That will do. Oh, it's going to have to do, really, isn't it? 32k? I don't think so. Again, that's the building of the embankment here. This is one thing in the game. The sort of building becomes that much more expensive. The building, that is, of rail and road. You really are paying for the extra embankments and cuts that you need to make. Actually, that's to keep the route flat. I mean, you want the route to be flat, but it's a matter of how much you can pay for. And at this stage of the game, we don't really have money to spend. We can take out loans, but it's a matter of having to repay them. Okay, right, so let's have a look at our stations. Actually, if I just click on there for a second. So what we want to do, I think, is we want bus stops. We ought to have one near the station. We don't really need it as long as we deposit people within this catchment area. So I could have a bus stop here, and people should then walk to the station. But that's kind of inelegant, isn't it? It's not the way real life works. So I probably will put one there. It's only a few K. It's a bit wasteful, but hey, that's what we need to do. So we want a bus stop. The question is, how can I afford to go both clockwise and anti-clockwise? Now, must remember that traffic on the in this game travels in the non-English direction, so they're travelling on the right. So that's going up that way, isn't it? So we've got you there, and if we put one there, you see that covers all this industrial area, and in fact, pretty much all that as well. That's quite handy. Can we put him there? If we put him there, yeah, let's put him there. And we'll have one here, which covers all this commercial stuff as well. And then finally down here to cover off the rest of this residential area. That's very handy. Okay. And we need to create ourselves a new line. We will call this one new. Now the thing is, you're never quite sure what direction is going to be most profitable, either clockwise or anti-clockwise around the town, as to whether people are coming here primarily to work or primarily to go home, or to come to work or go to work in either town. And of course, if they're mostly coming here to work, they don't want to spend most of their day travelling on a stagecoach around the residential areas before they get to the business or the industry areas. So again, we might put in both anti-clockwise and clockwise routes. So we will call this one Newbury Coach. Which direction are you going in? You're going anti-clockwise, aren't you? We'll call you A1. Anti-clockwise one. There will only be one anti-clockwise one, so I don't know what I'm doing. Well, we'll call it that anyway, because we're adding a station. We'll add that station there. We'll add that station there. We will add that. They're not stations, they're bus stops, aren't they? We'll add that one there. Okay, that's cool. And well, we'll see if we can get away with doing the same thing as we did in the old game, Train Fever, and just count them around the other way. So that's one, that's two, that's that one, and that one. Okay, so we will set up ourselves another new line. And this one we will call Newbury coach, clockwise 1. Oh, there's almost a logic, isn't there? Almost. Okay, so we're going to start here. Start at that side, and then go to that one. And we're going in the opposite direction. That way, and then finally to Station Road. Oh, the other thing too, which I didn't quite point out here, is this catchment area. Does it include the station or not? It's slightly difficult to tell here, but the station does sort of light up a little bit. That line there, right next to the railway line, if you watch that, there you go, which means that is within the same catchment area. That's important for passengers, but I think it's even more important for goods, for freight, as to how your vehicles deliver and pick up goods. You need to make sure your catchment areas are bang on, accurate, and to give you the best results. Okay, so we need a depot. That's not in there, that's in here. These are slightly odd looking depots, to be honest. So that's 13, 15. Where else can we put it? Would it be cheaper anywhere else? That's a bit cheaper, isn't it, actually? Giving too much curvature, don't give me that. That will do nicely. Okay, right, so again, things are expensive here. We're looking for passenger, so we've got our Stagecoach. We're going to use our normal red colour for everything until I decide otherwise, basically, or I start forgetting, which is probably the more likely. Okay, so how many of these do we want? It's a smallish town, so we will take, I think, just 4 for the moment, 2 in each direction. So we'll send, this is vehicle 1, we'll send you, oh, I haven't named that line, or rather I named it and then didn't save it. Hang on, let me get to that line. So I do this, I type it in and then don't press return. So this is Newbury coach, and it's going to be clockwise 1. Press return and there it is, saved. Result. Okay. So you're going on there, and you can do the same. Coach 1. Okay, let's get the game going. There they go, and we will send all these to A1, the anti-clockwise. Right, so we will let them hopefully start picking up passengers in a moment, while we hurry along to Coventry and try and do the same thing here. Let's just put the game in pause for a second while we look at our options here. It would be nice to have a road going around there, but actually we probably don't need that actually. Yeah, a stop here should pick up. Now let's just try placing one of those. So a stop. It's a passenger stop, that's what we're after, not a depot. Yeah, that picks up all that and a few more besides, so that should be okay. We don't need that loop going around the outside, that's handy. And again here we're going to get the end of that road, but I think it might be a nice idea to actually try and, can we join these 2 roads up without demolishing buildings? So let's make it more of a straightforward T-type junction. Okay. Yeah, not like that. Best of all, a cheap one. Actually, if we do that, that will join up. Okay. I could probably have spent a little bit less, but I think that's okay, and it gives the game room to move, or me indeed, room to move off in this direction as well. that's fine. Okay, so what's the catchment area for our train station here? Yeah, you see it's quite good. It goes through pretty much all the residential, but it touches none of the other building types. So we need stops somewhere around here, which will pick up that end of the residential and the commercial, then I think we'll bring it around. Yep, again just a couple of stops, perhaps 3 should do nicely. So if we put one here, that's right, so that will do. The one issue, the slight issue I have here is that it doesn't sort of remember the catchment areas of stations you've placed. You can only have sort of one station in view at a time. Actually, can you put more than one? Well, I think you can. Yeah, but you do need to highlight the stop location. So that does that. So I can see what I've actually got covered already on the catchment areas. It's a bit of a finicky thing. I'd rather it did it automatically, so, but then maybe, I don't know, maybe it doesn't know you're creating a line, so it doesn't know how to work out what catchment areas are relevant to you. I'm not convincing myself. I'd rather it did it for me, to be honest. I'd rather it said, oh, you're placing stops or stations, let me capture all the catchment areas of the ones you're placing until you stop placing them, perhaps, until you choose a different menu option. Okay, so we'll put that there. That's capturing all that area. So finally it's just this bit here, this final couple of stragglers on the end. Yep, that will do nicely. And again, I think I will put in bus stops. Oops, I didn't need to deselect that. On the opposite sides of the road. And I notice I'm not placing one actually near the station. So I'm kind of totally ignoring the logic of my previous decision in Newbury. It's my game, I can do what the heck I like. My rules. Yeah. Okay, I think that's done. Okay, let's set up our 2 new lines. Oh, that's nice, it's choosing blue for... Actually, now that is good, actually. It's kind of spooky. Because I'm not a football fan at all. I know a little bit. I sort of follow football a little bit. I have a little bit of interest, though not a great deal. Why have I got coaches on the wrong... Hang on, let me sort that out. No, you should be on the C1 line. That's right, they should be equally spread. Sorry about that. Yeah, so actually, what I do happen to know, and I believe I'm right, is that the colours of the Coventry City Football Club are sky blue, which is precisely the colour, more or less, the game has selected for us. That is kind of spooky. So this will be the clockwise one. Press return so it remembers. Add stations. So clockwise, which is that direction, isn't it? That's right. And then that one. And then that one. That's it, isn't it? Yeah. So I was expecting it to go around the outside there, but there's no need for it to do that. That is actually a bizarre route. But it should work. The catchment areas should work. He said hopefully. Okay, let's set up another new line for the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, another blue colour. It's nice and consistent, this actually. I'm sure it's purely the internal logic of the game. I'm just going to ascribe mysterious and supernatural attributes, characteristics to it. Okay, so in an anti-clockwise fashion, we will go from here to here to here. I would rather one stopped at the station, to be honest, but if this is faster, the fewer stops the faster it should go, which is kind of important when your transport travels as slowly as it does in the early 1850s. Okay, so where to stick the depot? We could stick him out here, I think, somewhere. Is that going to be cost effective? 11-ish. 11. I think 11. Ooh, there's a 10-ish there. Well, let's stick him out here somewhere. Not if you're going to knock down buildings, you're not. No. This is starting to get expensive there. We don't want to spend 4. I'd rather spend 11 than 14. 11 is even better. Okay. You see, that doesn't really fit in with the early 1850s, does it? That's quite a modern looking building. Isn't that skylights and everything? I'm sure they didn't have skylights back in those days. Stagecoaches for passengers, and it will be red. Okay, we'll take 4 of them. And we will send the first 2 to A1. That's A1. And we'll set the line for all of these to C1. Okay. And we'll set the game a-rolling. Yeah, that looks right. And has it improved our station attendance? No, we've got 9 people at Coventry. We're getting passengers at Coventry, but Newbury is still looking very quiet. Okay, so where's our train? Should we go follow him? I think we should. Ah! Looks like he's approaching Newbury. We don't need that in line as well. Shall I speed it up ever so slightly because it is very slow? No sign of passengers. This is sad. Ah, right, now. Did you notice them? The little red numbers? Yeah. The game reporting is very similar to what it was in Train Fever, in that as each month turns over, you'll get a red figure, say, giving you the costs, the negatives to your balance sheet, popping up over everything you're charged for, which is most of your buildings that you've put in, and also obviously the vehicles. So they will appear, and then you'll also get, if any of them have made money, well actually when they make money, not at the end of the month, at any time they make money by delivering a passenger, as this guy will do shortly, as this train will do, you'll see a green number pop up. Now one of the things they've done in Transport Fever is enable you to turn on or off any of those symbols. So we can actually turn off the negative dollar amount, the costs, so we never see the red numbers popping up. I dare say it won't improve the game performance by anything much. There might be a very nominal improvement, because it's still doing all the calculations obviously every month, but you can also turn off all the station symbols and icons, and the icons for the trains in the sort of long view, or buses, so you can actually make it an entirely, if I turn everything off, there you go, so it's an entirely natural map. So I mean, particularly if you're sort of trying to present a video movie, a more realistic movie of the game, then you can now do that, and you don't get distractions with all this information popping up across the map. And the rest of their interface, as you can see, fits nicely in the corners along the edges, so it's quite easy to sort of capture that central portion of the stage, as it were, the presentation window, and give you a nice clean video of your gameplay, which is a very nice touch actually, and it is, I imagine, a lot of gamers really appreciate that sort of flexibility, and those sort of options being available to them. I'm not going to worry too much about them at this point in the game, certainly not while I'm playing it. The red numbers though were a bit of a distraction and annoying, especially when they were always popping up and always meant that money was just flying straight out of my bank balance. So how much has this guy made? One passenger? 4.5k. Not a great deal. And unfortunately, this train has picked up nobody new. Okay, do I have any stagecoaches? Right. Where are you going? There's a very handsome red cab, isn't it? I like that. I think I've chosen my bright red colour quite well. I dare say on some vehicles it's going to look really naff. Those coaches really shouldn't be so close together. But interesting, only one of them stopped. Now the game does, from what I understand and from what I've seen in other people's Let's Play, the game logic has been much improved, so that when you first send your vehicles out from the depot, they do actually try and take different routes to the stops that you have on that line, so they don't all bunch up. I mean, they do spread out after a time anyway, as they wait to pick up passengers along the line. But it tries to make that better and quicker from the outset. Dear me, and there's nobody there. Is there anybody in Coventry? Anybody? Well, this is a very sad state of affairs, isn't it? So we've got 13 people waiting at the train station, and not a solitary soul wants to travel on my stagecoaches. That is very sad. Okay, yeah, the game graphics still aren't quite perfect. And you see some of the wheels there are floating underneath the top of the track. I dare say, as we did in the old game, you may see vehicles actually flying slightly above the surface of the road. It's early days yet. It's only 1851. We've not completed 2 years yet in the game, so we don't really expect to start making money. Indeed, I think there's something. Oh! Passenger. Sorry. Where is he? Oh, there's 2 people. Is that 2 people at both? No, he's obviously not at that one. It's obviously at this bus stop here. Oh, that's interesting. What have I clicked on here? Right, clicking on the building does give you a lot more information. Well, it's a lot more understandable than it was previously. Well, still nobody waiting. They obviously wanted to go in the other direction. Yeah. Oh, of course the bus stop has the same name on both sides of the street, so you just have to look at the line, and that's obviously an anti-clockwise coach, which is why nobody got on. Is there a clockwise coach coming anytime soon? No, doesn't look like it. Oh well. Okay, right. What we'll do, I think we will end this little episode here. I think things are starting to move here in Coventry. Looks like the clockwise route is the one. There's nobody, from what I can see, waiting for an anti-clockwise coach, which is interesting. So we may have to adjust our lines for that. Okay, the train's coming in, which should be arriving in Coventry anytime soon. And Newbury, we do have passengers waiting on this for the anti-clockwise coach service. Again, the direction in which no coaches appear to be anywhere near close. As I said, and we've got a passenger at the railway station. 3 of them! Oh my goodness. Right. Okay, so I think we're still a little way off from actually making money on any of my routes, though the towns are realising that they now have a transport system they can use, which is all very handy. So what we will do is we will end this little episode here, having set up that infrastructure as you've seen within our 2 first towns. For the next episode, what we might try and do is see if we can build in some freight. I think we're too far away really at this point to get another town involved, certainly not in organic sort of growth out from our existing line. So that's what we will try and do, is try and involve freight in the next stage of the game, which will be as we turn into 1852. So here we are, December 1851. Transport Fever, my first line, is hopefully about to start becoming profitable in the next year, as the stagecoaches on the internal system, transport system, start making money, or at least moving passengers around, if not making money. And I will see you then. But for now, from me, Ajaxpost, until next time, bye bye for now.